Well, this is an exciting day, an exciting announcement as the Canadian Junior Football League could be growing to a 19th team. The BC Conference would be then a 7-team conference as the Prince George Kodiaks have received a conditional approval from the BC Conference. And we're lucky enough to have the president of the Kodiaks, Craig Briere, on the phone or on Zoom. Hi, Craig.
Good afternoon.
Tyler McLaren, the president of the British Columbia Football Conference, also joining us. Hi, Tyler.
Hey, Ryan. How's it going?
Good. So, Craig, let's start with you. There is a bit of a delay between when you speak and the sound that we'll hear, but that's okay. Tell us a little bit about the making of the Prince George Kodiaks. How long of a process has this been for you guys?
Well, we started about over 3 years ago. We started some programs in Prince George with Game Ready Elite out of Vancouver, doing the 7-on-7 program. And it sort of evolved from there to looking at opportunities for our kids to not only to get better at football, but also to get opportunities in life. And having been a former junior football player, junior football has been near and dear to my heart. So, when kids have to travel away from home and they have to go to other areas, they have to go to Edmonton or the Lower Mainland or those types of places to play. We felt that that was an opportunity for us to keep them here at home, keep them engaged in their community, and ultimately, at the end of the day, give them a place to be, showcased at home rather than having to be showcased somewhere else.
What junior football franchise did you play with, Craig?
Well, I had the fortune of playing for the Regina Rams from 1993 to 1997. So, one of the common phrases I use is, you have to give back to the sport that gave so much to you. And I was blessed to be a part of a great organization, coached by great coaches such as Frank McChrystal. And so, junior football has allowed me to be successful in life and as others. And so that was sort of the catalyst for it is, how can we really impact the lives of our young football players here, but also how can we create, a pivotal moment in our sport where we can grow football throughout Northern BC, where we can expand into smaller communities such as Williams Lake, Quesnel, Terrace, Prince Rupert, Smithers, Burns Lake. I think when you look at the football map, Northern BC is one of the more underserviced areas in Canada as far as football goes. And, football is such a diverse sport. It allows for kids of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, economic status to participate. I think we'd be doing a disservice if we don't have football in these smaller towns.
We should say this franchise is for 2022, so we're still over a year away before kickoff from Prince George. But you mentioned the surrounding area. Is there enough minor football players and kids playing the sport of football that can make a go of a franchise in Prince George?
I certainly believe so. I think that football is on the upward trajectory. We have 5 high schools playing high school football here in the Northern Conference. We have the Northern Conference in the BC High School Football League has more teams as a percentage of schools. So we do have a lot of kids that are playing. Our community football programs are at an opportunity. They have an opportunity to grow and certainly expand. The Kodiaks has been that organization. We've done 5-on-5 this year. We've done 7-on-7. We've got a fall tackle league that's starting this fall. So we're growing the game from the bottom up, grassroots community football, and ultimately those kids will be trained and have the opportunity to play within our organization. And one day, if they want to play for the Kodiaks or if they want to play for a university or they want to go NCAA, we're there to support them along the pathway. At the end of the day, it's getting kids active in the sport. Getting them out there and, growing our game. We got to continue to push football so that, we can continue to get kids involved and be successful at it, right?
I'm glad you mentioned university. Prince George, of course, is home to UNBC. Is there going to be a relationship between the Kodiaks and the university?
The greatest thing about being in a smaller community is we have great relationships with everybody. We've got great relationships with our college. We've got great relationships with our university. We've got great relationships with our junior hockey teams. We've got great relationships with everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody bands together. I think when you look at Prince George as a whole, our numbers from a population standpoint might be small, but people here rally together. Every time Prince George hosts a major event, whether that be the Canada Winter Games, whether that be World Curling Championships, it is always one of the most successful events because, in a smaller town, people want to get out, they want to support, and when you've got a junior football team with, 50, 60, 70 kids that are locally based, we will get a tremendous amount of support from our community as I know.
Tyler, from the conference side of things, how does it look for the BC Conference adding another team like Prince George? There is 6 teams already. Now it's an odd number. Take us through the thought process from the conference side of things.
I think from the conference standpoint, Craig touched on it already, is it gives us a unique opportunity to grow football in a region that, quite frankly, has been underfarmed, like Craig said. Yeah. And also from my role with our provincial sport organization as well as the conference, it's important that we cover as much area of British Columbia as we possibly can. And there's no reason why football can't grow in a region like Prince George or in the north. So it's something that's exciting for us. Obviously, when you try and add teams within a proximity of one of our 6 current teams, that creates a bit of a challenge in some regards. Not all, but some. But this is a unique opportunity in the north, where quite frankly we feel very strongly that we can be a part of what Craig was talking about and grow in the sport, not only at our level but at the younger levels. And when our conference goes up into a place like that, we see it as an opportunity to get kids energized even at younger ages. So even kids that are 10, 12, 14 years of age, if they come to a BCFC and a CJFL game, they will have aspirations to one day themselves play for the Kodiaks. So we see it as a tremendous opportunity. And that's part of what we're expected to do, is look at these opportunities and think big picture and what's good for the sport, and grow in our league and grow in enrollment and giving people the opportunity.
And just to touch again on what Craig said, just the strength of not only the area, but also the strength of this franchise already going through a pandemic where they haven't been able to do much, I would imagine. For you, Tyler, looking at that, there must be a sense of relief as well that this franchise here in Prince George is sustainable even through a pandemic.
For sure, and it's tested the resilience and of all of our teams across Canada, sure. And BC, of course, included. But it was you worry about, obviously nobody can anticipate a pandemic and the ramifications of what comes with that. But Craig and I always remained in contact, and we spoke about, is 2023 should we postpone this and push things back, just because of what happened in 2020, that we almost all kind of lost a year of our lives, whether it's football or personal or anything else. So the resilience of Prince George and Craig and his group up there, always wanting to have 2022 on the mind, was comforting, and they've done a fantastic job getting to this point.
How about the travel? Because a lot of teams, especially like West Shore and Vancouver Island Raiders, looking at Prince George going, oof, that's a long bus ride. That must have been a factor.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. And our teams were great at talking about concerns, and travel is certainly one of them. There are ways to work schedules that are more geographically weighted, as well as potentially look at the prospects of maybe even chartering for plane travel to Prince George from the island as well. So it's certainly a challenge, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But the opportunity and the potential exceeds the challenge, and anything that's worth pursuing, you find a solution, and that's what we're going to do. But there are ways to work it so our island teams are not going to Prince George as often, and vice versa, because obviously it's the same impact on the Kodiaks having to go to the island. So they do it for other sports. Obviously football is a larger number of people playing, but again, we look at it as it's a concern, but it's something that we can overcome and move forward. We had the same concerns with when the Okanagan Sun came into our league, and people said, "Oh my, we have to go up to the interior, and it's going to be a long travel, and it's going to cost a lot more money." And the same concerns are here, but we managed to overcome them with the Okanagan Sun, and they're one of our longest serving and successful franchises, and we feel we can do the same here.
Craig, how about the facility? It's Massage Stadium, I believe, that the Kodiaks will be playing out of. Take us through, or paint a picture, if you will, for folks that have never been to Prince George or been to that facility.
Yeah, I think, Cody, if you want to compare Massage Stadium, I think, Langley's probably a close comparable. The stadium in Langley is a little bit different than ours here, but, give credit to the city of Prince George. They've invested probably tens of millions of dollars into Massage over the last couple of years. Stadium upgrades, all natural, or the artificial turf, new lighting, new scoreboard with video screen. So really it meets the requirements of the BCFC and the CJFL. So I think if you're looking at a stadium, it's probably very reflective to to what the Rams have in Langley. Now, our stadium only holds about 1,300 people right now, so we're looking at some contingency plans because we do anticipate that in our first season that we will have strong attendance and that we will need additional seating. And I think that will just enhance the experience, right? Again, Prince George is a great community. People rally behind locally based sports and locally sports-based organizations. So, we're anticipating 2,000-3,000 people at a home game. So it'll be exciting for teams when they travel here. I know you mentioned travel with Tyler earlier, but I think Prince George is going to be that one game on the map that all the teams circle that players look forward to coming to. Prince George has a history of having great hospitality, great people, and we're going to make sure that when the teams roll to Prince George, that they're going to be treated very well, and the players and the coaches and the organizations look forward to that game because it's a time for their team to really be taken care of and bond as a team. I know the bus trips sometimes seem long, but that was one of the things that I enjoyed the most of playing in the Prairie Football Conference was the 8-hour bus trips. They're probably one of the things that I miss the most. But yeah, there's certainly, Massage is a great place, a great stadium. We've been working with the city of Prince George. We've acquired some leased land to develop a practice facility. We're working with another nonprofit in acquiring and the use of a community hall for office space and for events and fundraising. Again, small community, everybody bands together. We're putting all the right pieces in place. One of our biggest mottos is best practices. Do things that are in the best interest of the sport. We've got a full-time head coach. We've got a full-time program director. We're putting staff in place to, not only, develop our community-based programming, but also to make sure that our junior team's supported. And at the end of the day, that we are, that we're a benefit to the BCFC and the CJFL, that we are bringing things to the table that are going to look positively upon the league.
So there's coaches already in place for the 2022 season?
Yeah, so the Kodiaks we've hired, Keon Raymond is our head coach. Keon is, if you follow the CFL, as a great Calgary Stampeder, played in the Toronto Argonauts, two-time Grey Cup champion, two-time West Division All-Star. We started a quiet search for a head coach about 6 months ago, and all paths led to Keon. When we looked at obviously his resume, he's got the credentials. But more importantly, Keon brought to us the character that we wanted. We wanted a strong character guy where he can go into somebody's living room and talk to a kid, talk to their parents, and they know that when they come to Prince George and play for the Kodiaks, that their kids are going to get taken care of. That we're here to not only just play football. As a great coach, Frank McChrystal, once said, we're here to develop young men. And that's our primary focus, is develop our players, make them into great people, make them into great moms and dads, make them into great fathers, great parents, and just at the end of the day, just help them along their pathway in life. And that's the biggest success for us, is making sure that those guys get that experience, that they're set up for a life of success.
So Tyler, it sounds like Prince George has got all the things in line. They've crossed the T's and dotted the I's, coach, facility, franchise that has now lasted through a pandemic. So how do they now remove this conditional approval title and become a full-fledged franchise?
What we'll do now is at some point, once Craig and I both feel that it's the appropriate time and all the conditions have been met, is we'll schedule a BCFC board of directors meeting and talk about that, because obviously this is something that has to be rubber stamped by our entire board of directors, which is our team presidents as well as our executive. And then once we get to that point, and obviously it just has to be recorded and done the proper way. And then once we get to that point, then we start planning and moving forward with the 2022 season.
Where did the name Kodiaks come from, Craig?
Actually, Kodiaks is a name. We have a college here in Prince George, and one of their monikers was Kodiaks. But also, the Kodiak is very representative of a lot of things here in northern BC. So we felt that the name would fit well. And at the end of the day, we've got Cougars, we've got Timberwolves, we've got Spruce Kings. We need to add a little bit of grit to the mix. We added a bear.
Well, guys, this is amazing. It's a very exciting day, and we're looking forward, obviously, to the 2021 season, whatever that will look like. And then in 2022, we're certainly fingers crossed that everything is removed and you become a full-fledged franchise in CJFL. Craig, thanks for doing this. Tyler, thanks for your time as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys in 2022, Craig.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan.